The Galactic Defense Academy's combat assessment arena had witnessed many battles, but never one quite like this. Cadet Marcus Chen stood motionless in the center of the crystalline floor, his dark eyes scanning the holographic displays that surrounded him. The silence was deafening, not just from Marcus but from the thousands of alien spectators packed into the observation decks above. Commander Vexithari, a towering Chronari with scales that shimmered like oil, leaned forward, in the control booth. "Initiate Combat Sequence 7 Alpha," she commanded, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had trained elite warriors for 3 centuries. The arena's walls dissolved into a realistic battlefield simulation. A war-torn cityscape under a crimson sky, complete with crumbling buildings and the distant sound of plasma fire. Marcus remained perfectly still, even as the first wave of combat drones materialized around him. Sleek, predatory machines designed to test reflexes, tactical thinking, and raw survival instinct. In the stands, Cadet Zelak whispered to his companion, "The human hasn't moved since the simulation began. Is their species naturally paralyzed by fear?" The Altherian beside him, her tentacles twitching with nervous energy, replied, "Perhaps. Humans are new to the Academy. We know so little about their combat capabilities." What they didn't know was that Marcus had been studying, not just the Academy's combat protocols or weapon systems, but the very nature of every alien species he'd encountered. He had learned that Chronari valued honor above efficiency, that Altherians prized elegant solutions over brute force, and that most galactic species had evolved past the kind of desperate, chaotic warfare that had defined human history for millennia. The first drone closed to within 10 meters. Marcus tilted his head slightly, the first movement he'd made since entering the arena. The machine's sensors locked onto him, weapons charging with a high-pitched whine. Marcus smiled. What happened next would be analyzed by Academy instructors. For decades to come, Marcus didn't dodge the incoming plasma burst, he anticipated it. His body was already in motion before the drone's targeting system had finished its lock-on sequence. He rolled left, came up in a crouch, and launched himself forward with explosive force. His hand found a chunk of simulated rubble, and in one fluid motion, he hurled it with devastating accuracy. The projectile struck the drone's sensor array, sending the machine spinning into a wall where it exploded in a shower of sparks. But Marcus was already gone, moving like liquid shadow between the remaining drones. He didn't fight them, he dismantled them. A palm strike to a vulnerable joint here, a precisely timed leap that sent 2 drones crashing into each other there. Each movement was economical, brutal, and eerily quiet. The second wave materialized, heavier combat units with adaptive AI and reinforced armor. Marcus finally spoke, his voice carrying clearly through the arena's audio system. "Computer, increase difficulty to maximum." A collective gasp rose from the spectators. Commander Vexthari's clawed hands gripped her console. "Cadet Chen, that setting is reserved for advanced students, yes ma'am," Marcus interrupted. Politely. "I understand." The arena transformed again. Now Marcus faced not just drones, but simulated alien warriors, Chronari shock troops, Altherian psychic warriors, even the dreaded Veil hunters that most Academy graduates never encountered, until their first deep space assignments. The holographic enemies moved with lethal precision, their weapons fully capable of delivering non-lethal but incapacitating damage. Marcus closed his eyes. The watching aliens fell silent, confusion rippling through the stands. What was the human doing? Had he given up? Had the pressure finally? Marcus opened his eyes and moved. What the spectators witnessed defied their understanding of combat. Marcus seemed to be everywhere at once, his movements a blur of controlled violence. He used the environment like a weapon, triggering structural collapses, redirecting enemy fire, turning the simulated warrior's own tactics against them. When a Chronari shock trooper charged with ceremonial battle claws extended, Marcus sidestepped and used the alien's momentum to send him crashing into a group of Veil hunters. When an Altherian warrior attempted to ensnare his mind with psychic tendrils, Marcus had already anticipated the attack and was behind the creature, applying a sleeper hold with textbook precision. The arena's advanced combat AI, designed to challenge even the most elite students, began making desperate calculations. It increased the number of enemies, their aggression levels, their tactical complexity. Nothing worked. The human moved through their ranks like a force of nature, adapting to each new threat with an intuitive understanding that seemed almost supernatural. In the control booth, Commander Vexithari watched her displays with growing amazement. "His biometric done," she whispered. "His heart rate hasn't increased by more than 5%. He's not even breathing hard." The final wave consisted of 30 elite opponents, an impossible challenge that was never meant to be survivable, only to test how long a cadet could last. Marcus looked up at the observation deck, gave a small nod to Commander Vexithari, and then moved. 30 seconds later, 30 simulated warriors lay deactivated around him. Marcus stood in the center of the arena, not even winded, and spoke into the stunned silence. "Simulation complete, Commander. Permission to request more challenging parameters for next time?" Commander Vexithari stared down at the human cadet, who had just redefined everything she thought she knew about combat assessment. Around the arena, alien spectators sat in shocked silence, many recording the event to send to their homeworlds. Cadet Zelak turned to his Altherian companion, his voice barely a whisper. What kind of species produces warriors like this?" The Altherian's tentacles had gone completely still, a sign of deep thought among her people. "The kind," she said slowly, "that survived long enough to reach the stars despite having no natural weapons, no armored skin, no psychic abilities. They had only their minds, and apparently, that was enough." As Marcus walked toward the exit, Commander Vexithari's voice followed him. "Cadet Chen, report to Advanced Tactical Studies tomorrow. I believe we have much to learn from each other." Marcus paused at the threshold and looked back. "Yes, ma'am, we do." The arena fell silent once more, but now it was the silence of profound respect, and just a little bit of fear. The galaxy had just gotten its first real look at what humanity was capable of, and it would never be the same.